Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Oh, well, it's getting crazier every day, isn't it? We've got meteors falling on us now all over the place, wars, you name it, we've got it. So, you know what? I've sort of just think in the end, what can you do? Just got to carry on, haven't you? Now, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sort of sniffly this morning. It's not a cold. I think it's allergies and things, a little bit sniffly. My voice is a little bit, no idea why. But anyway, just so you know, have a little slurp of coffee. That will help, hopefully. So here we are, 50 days. Count them, 50 days since Nancy Guthrie went missing, disappeared into a puff of smoke from her home in Tucson, Arizona. And we're not really any further on, are we? Or it doesn't feel that way. We just have to hope that behind the scenes the FBI are doing their thing. I mean, they're going around questioning people still. They're obviously, it's still an active investigation, but we don't know how far they've got. We have no clue, do we? And sometimes we think Sheriff Nanos and etc. They have no clue either. But we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. There's more drama going on. It feels like there's a lot of drama at the moment on social media about. I just want to mention it sort of briefly. I'm going to do a video about it. I don't know because it is a serious crime. A YouTuber that we followed often, JLR investigates. There's terrible things being said about him all over the social media, which are substantiated by photos and police reports, etc. So I personally have come off. I don't. I've come off his channel. I won't be showing any of his videos ever again. Well, unless it's all resolved and he's found not guilty, but very serious charges of domestic abuse, all sorts of things. Um, just I'm not going into them in this video because this video is about Nancy, but I may go into them in another video because I think it's important. It's very serious what he's accused of doing, and as I say, there are police reports and photographs to back it up. But everyone's innocent till they're proven guilty, aren't they? And nobody's going to feel bad about talking about him because that's what he does, isn't he? He's one of those streamers that takes his camera, shoves it in people's faces. Reminded me a lot of. I think another reason why I did stop watching him for a while. So I don't know if you saw when he turned up at the Karen Reid trial. Now Karen Reid is not a very nice person. It seems like she probably killed her ex-boyfriend, but anyway, she was found not guilty. And I remember thinking at the time, I remember thinking at the time, he doesn't like women, this man, because he's very down on women, much more so than men. Anyway, seems like that may be true. One thing I've learned as well, I say I've learned, I probably haven't learned properly, but you have to trust your instincts about people. You have an instinct about someone and you think, no, you shouldn't really think that. But I remember thinking that about the cat. Why is he getting that? He got so aerated and so. I'd never seen him like that. Get so aggravated. Someone. So although he goes around pushing his camera in people's faces and asking questions, he's normally quite respectful. Which is why he gets answers. But gosh, he was really over the top with Karen Reid, and I remember thinking, "Oh, that's strange." But anyway, this is Nancy. This video, but I may go into looking at these allegations against JLR in another video. Let me know if you want to know about it. I know a lot of you are followers of him, but I think you might think twice about it when you know about the allegations and see the photographs of his ex-girlfriend. So anyway, so yeah, what we are going to talk about in this video, we're going to talk about it being 50 days since Nancy disappeared. We're going to talk about the family statement that was put out last night. We're going to look at the video that came out last night about the case, and but there's no developments, or not any developments that we've got to know about. Just really that, you get all conflicting developments. You'll get people saying, "No, it was definitely a lone wolf." "Oh no, it was definitely a gang of people." One development that is true is they were searching like construction sites and things, which I think is very important. And not necessarily searching for Nancy's body necessarily, but searching maybe for evidence or construction sites or places people can throw evidence and things. Because as far as we know, nothing from the scene has been, found, like the clothes the perp was wearing, the mask, the gloves, etc., the rucksack. We don't know what Nancy was wearing, but as far as we know, none of her clothes have been discovered, as far as we know. So we don't know what evidence has been gathered. We've not been told of any physical evidence really that's been gathered. No weapon, and that perpetrator had a weapon. I'll come and say hello. So yeah, that's what they've been looking for. They've been re-knocking on people's doors, asking for any further information. I think it's a bit worrying, because you feel like they're getting to the end of every time they get to the end of the leads they've got, they go back to square one, which is what should do really. What's the matter, baby? And you feel like that's what they're doing, but then it makes you feel, are they doing that because they've got no evidence, or are they doing that because they have got some leads and things and they're just going back and, I don't know, trying to expand them? But yeah, nothing official that's come out that anything's been found in particular, or anyone's been detained again after those 2 early detentions in the case, Carlos and Luke. Nothing, so yeah, do they have suspect? You can't believe they haven't really, but it feels like maybe they really haven't. But we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, so we only can sort of trust that something is going on. Okay, so I just want to say my thank you, and then we're going to get into it. Hope you're all well. If you don't know, I'm based in Spain, and it is currently 9:38 a.m. on Sunday morning. It's a beautiful day. I'm hoping to get some sun later. We'll see what happens. You never know, it might cloud over. But anyway, so it's a lovely day here. I hope it's lovely wherever you are, be it day, afternoon, or evening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. Leave your DNA on the like button. Put your fingerprint on the subscribe button. It's a completely free way of supporting my channel. Thank you to those of you who go that bit further. Thank you to my members. Thank you to those of you who send Ko-fis, super stickers, PayPal me, etc. Thank you so much. And hello, lovely lurkers. Hi, how are you? Hope you're all well. Hi to you, replay crew. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, nobody's in the chat at the moment, so I'll say hello to you as you come in. Don't be scared of chatting if you want to, or if you've got something to say. I mean, let me know what you think. Where is Nancy? Do you think she's been taken to Mexico? That's one theory. Do you think she's round about the area somewhere? Do you think she's still alive? What do you think the motive was? Was it a burglary gone wrong? Did somebody target Nancy in particular, or did they, is it because of her famous daughter, Savannah? There's all these sort of speculations that we keep going through, but we don't know anything. But let me know your views. Do you think Nancy will be found alive? Do you think she'll be found at all? 50 days. 50 days is a long time, isn't it? With nothing. No clues. Good morning, Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Now that brings me to something that I just want to say. So I was looking for photos like to put up, and because this is, of course, we're going to read this statement from the Guthrie family. So the statement is actually signed by the three children of Nancy. Of course, we've got Annie, we've got Savannah in the middle there, and Cameron, the brother, and their spouses. So all their names are on this statement that's been released. So there's a real show of family unity. But what I did notice when I was looking for photos to show, there's a lot of photos on there of Savannah and her family, and very public photos like this one, and her children's faces. I haven't covered them because they're out there publicly. I don't know how old this photo is, but what I'm trying, and there's lots, because obviously Savannah is a public figure, and there's an innocence there, isn't there? To show your photos. A lot of famous people do it. Show photos of them and their families, even their children. Now, is it why? Unfortunately, you should be able to do that and not worry that anybody's going to, go after your children or go after your mum. So there's a lot of photos of Savannah with her mum. Nancy. So here's Nancy. She's the poor lady that's been abducted. She's now 84 years old. She's probably a bit younger there. Plucked from her bed in the early hours of the morning. But yeah, what do you think? I have to say, I know it's with the benefit of hindsight, but I was sort of looking, there's many photos similar to this. The problem is there's a lot of weirdos out there. There are, unfortunately. Most people wouldn't even think of stalking someone or doing any harm to them, or whether they were famous or not. But there are some people out there that would, just lap up these sort of photos. You just don't know. It's quite scary, isn't it? Because in this day and age, would have been different years ago. Famous people would give their interviews in magazines or newspapers or whatever, and that's where the photos would come out. And any other more private photos, really, would be taken by paparazzi, wouldn't they? It's like the paparazzi that would follow them, like they followed Princess Diana. She's probably the most photographed woman ever. And the thing is, she would try and give them like a photo, so that would keep them happy, so they'd have something to put in their newspapers or whatever. But then there would be other photographers that would go that bit further, wasn't it? And the night, of course, Diana died, she was being hounded by the paparazzi. So that was how it used to be. But in this day and age now, I think with social media, with Instagram and Facebook, etc., people are giving out their own photos. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to follow people with paparazzi, because people will, on their own social media, like this was probably taken from Savannah's Instagram or whatever. I mean, it's on Google now. I just Googled it, and lots of pictures came up of Savannah and her family. This is different now. So the paparazzi don't have to try and get a sneaky photo of somebody, unless it is somebody who doesn't want to be photographed. But lots of famous people they're out there putting their own photos up, and not only of themselves but their family. So there's an innocence in that. There's a naivety, isn't there, in it? And what do you think? I mean, is it advisable? Hi, Daniel. Is it advisable to do that? But when it makes you realise that some sort of famous people who may be a bit more circumspect with what they release, only release certain pictures every now and again, just to keep, as I say, the fans happy, the press happy, etc. Maybe that's more like what you should do, But you should be able to put photos out if you want to. As I say, you can see from those photos of Savannah and her family, and it's not only famous people that do it. We all do it. People put photos on their Facebook and Instagram, etc., and anyone can look at those photos if they're set to public. You just never know who's looking at them, do you? And there's quite a few crazies out there. And is that, there's a lot of speculation that what happened to Nancy might be something to do with Savannah, and it's possible. I don't know if it is. I have no clue why Nancy was targeted. But, could be to do with Savannah. It could be to do with any of her family, because the thing is, if somebody wanted to hurt any of this family, it might not be Savannah. People focus on Savannah because she's the famous one, but it may be somebody that Tommaso pissed off, or someone that Annie pissed off, or a Cameron, or, you just don't know. Or it could be some serial killer, or, we just don't know. And we don't know, although there's a lot of conjecture. It must have been more than one person. We don't know that either. Was it a gang? Sheriff Nanos seemed to insinuate it was a lone wolf. Just one person. We don't know. I mean, we just have to, literally, we do not know. All we do know for certain is this lady has disappeared. Nobody knows where she is. She's been missing 50 days. There was blood all over the place. No, the DNA that was found at the scene. I presume they're still working on that to try and make a proper profile of it. They've had problems with the DNA, haven't they? So, yeah. That's where we are 50 days later. Not much further on, really, are we? Anyway, I'm going to read out the statement from the family, and then we're going to have a look at the video. Okay, so this is the family statement. So let me put the picture of the family up while I read it out. And this was literally released yesterday, I believe, last night, as far as Spanish time is concerned. So, we are deeply grateful for the outpouring from neighbours, friends, and the people of Tucson. We are all family now. Oh, that brings a little tear to my eye, because it's like Nancy is their family. She's their mum, their grandma, etc. But you sort of, when you have when your loved one is missing, you do sort of lose, what's the word? You sort of, they become sort of start to belong to other people as well. Because people get invested in their cases, like we're invested in Nancy's case. We all care now about Nancy, even though we didn't even know her. Because we can resonate with Nancy's case. It could be our mum, it could be our grandma, it could be us. What happened to Nancy under the most normal circumstances, just sleep. You can't get much more normal, you can't get any more normal circumstance than you lying in your bed, go to sleep in your bed at night in your own home. What you know, what could be more normal than that? And so we can all, there's nobody who can't resonate with it because we all go to bed in our own homes at night. And the thought of being woken up in the middle of the night by a masked person, masked man, presumably, is terrifying. So we all identify with it, we all resonate with it, we all empathize with it. So yeah, it's like for the real family, if you like, or for the blood family of Nancy, it's like they have to share a bit of their loved one out, you know, a bit of their. It's like that your loved one becomes a property almost of other people, but in a good way, because most people, you know, there'll be some people out there that are idiots, but most people just want to see Nancy brought home and found, you know. So you sort of, yeah, you share a bit of your own, you know, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but it's like you think about your loved ones who you love and you care about, and they become, you have to share a little bit of them because everybody now cares about Nancy. Everybody who knows about this case, it's quite a strange feeling. But you need, and it must be comforting to know that people want your loved one home. But of course, also, you do get the trolls in that as well. So it's not all positive, is it? That's the problem. But you need the public awareness to have them found. You know, and there's plenty of missing people who don't get any public awareness, and their family have been a bit some people have been resentful towards, you know, not that they're, I'm sure, wishing that Nancy didn't get the attention, but why hasn't their loved one got that same attention? Because, you know, there's a lot of missing people out there, and there's a lot of families who don't get any public attention or awareness. Anyway, so we continue to believe it is Tucsonians and the greater Southern Arizona community that hold the key to finding resolution in this case. Someone knows something. Definitely, 100% someone knows something. The only problem with that is there's a massive reward out in this case, isn't there? Over $1 million. And that, but nobody has come forward, as far as we know, to try and claim that reward. Or so far anyway, nothing has come through. I mean, it has led to an increase in tips. But yeah, it just makes you think that if nobody's come out yet that has led to finding Nancy, even for this massive reward, is anyone ever going to come out? And so let's supposing this is a gang. You think one of the gang members, you know, let's say there's 3 people involved in this. Like the person, say, that was just driving the car. I know they're equally complicit in one way, but I've watched enough crime videos and things, cases, to know that sometimes when someone's driving the car and then somebody ends up getting killed, or that person that's driving the car gets a very light sentence, because they'll be the one who'll come forward. They'll say, oh, I didn't know they were going to kill him, blah, blah. You know, they just asked me to drive this car. But they get, you know, so much of a lighter sentence. So, but that nobody like that has come forward. Do you know what I mean? Because if Nancy is dead, you know, they could say that they didn't know they were going to kill the old lady, or maybe she died by accident, you know, because she was in ill health. Maybe the shock killed her. So what I'm trying to say is, why has nobody, if it was a group of people, why has nobody cracked? Nobody's come forward to say, yes, I know what happened there, but I had a very small part in it, you know, blah, blah, blah. The other thing is, of course, if this does involve Mexicans, you know, like some people think, sometimes people are scared of going to the police because they may not be in America legally, and that might result in even, you know, problems for them, problems for their family. that can be a problem sometimes. People don't like to speak to the police if they've got other things, that they're doing that are illegal, like maybe being in the country illegally, or maybe they're terrified of the people who've done it. The people who've done it, maybe they're violent people, and because you think they must have some family, a wife or a mother or sister, brother, etc. Has nobody recognised that man from those pictures, or even thought, well, maybe possibly it's them? I think if my son was on a CCTV, even if he had a mask on, I think I would know it was him because of his, the way he walks, his eyes, the way he's built. Would not somebody who knew that person recognize them on there? And maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to go to the police. I don't know, but anyway. So this is what they say. The family. Someone knows something. It's possible a member of this community has information that they do not even realize is significant. We hope people search their memories, especially around the key timelines of January the 31st and the early morning hours of February the 1st, as well as the late evening of January the 11th. So they say this January 11th keeps coming up, doesn't it? Was this person seen on January the 11th? Were they there, casing the joint? Because, there's a lot of speculation that, those photos that we've seen of the perpetrator from different days. Nothing's been confirmed officially, though, hasn't it? Has it? We've not had a press conference to say, yes, this picture is from January the 11th and this one is from January the 31st, etc. We desperately ask this community for renewed attention to our mum's case. Please consult camera footage, journal notes, text messages, observations or conversations that in retrospect may hold significance. No detail is too small. It may be the key. We miss our mum with every breath, and we cannot be in peace until she is home. We cannot grieve. We can only ache and wonder. Our focus is solely on finding her and bringing her home. We want to celebrate her beautiful and courageous life. Oh, I'll get upset now. But we cannot do that until she is brought to a final place of rest. Thank you for continuing to pray without ceasing. So this is the statement that the family have released. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's heartbreaking. I feel like you can feel from that statement they don't have hope that Nancy is alive. It's like bring her to her final resting place. It would be hard to believe she could be alive after all this time, wouldn't it? There's always hope in the early days. And then there were the bogus ransom notes. But, the thing is, the ransom notes gave them hope, I suppose, even though no proof of life was ever submitted. At the end of the day, I think it's quite obvious those ransom notes are just a load of rubbish. Some fool trying to cash in on tragedy. But there's many reasons. The main reason is because no proof of life was ever given. And then, of course, there was no line of communication. There was no way the family could contact the kidnappers. That just doesn't happen. Also, the kidnappers sent these ransom emails to TMZ, a celebrity gossip magazine thing. Not even serious media, really, and not to the family, not to the police. Also, there was a couple of days pause, wasn't there, from when Nancy went missing until the ransom notes went out. So for all those reasons, they've been more or less discounted, though not officially. Like, we've not heard from officialdom, you know, to say, oh yeah, those ransom notes were definitely bogus. It's just we can gather that. Anyway, even if they were true, real, the deadlines have passed. As far as we know, the ransom was never paid, because they wanted proof of life. Of course, you're not going to pay a ransom, are you, unless you get proof of life. You're not going to pay ransom without somebody proving that you're paying that ransom for a live person. Though, having said that, I'm sure they want their mum back, dead or alive, don't they? They want to know where she is. If she has passed from this world, they want to be able to, you know, celebrate her life, bury her with dignity. The thought that your loved one is out there somewhere and you have no idea where they are just must be awful. So whoever these people are or person is that's taken Nancy, we know they're a complete horrible person, because they're not giving this family any sort of resolution. You know, they could contact the family and just let them know where Nancy is anonymously, surely, you know, just so they could have their loved one back. You know, I wish they would just think about, if it was their mum or their grandma, you know, how awful, you know, to not know where they are, and, you know, be imagining, why not just let them know where she is, even if it's anonymously. But anyway, you know, the thing is, you can't put yourself in the heads of these twonks, because you can't think like them, because luckily you don't think like them. You know, we don't want to think like them in a way, do we? So, you know, why are they being so cruel? It's so cruel what they're doing. Anyway, so that's the statement from the family. We're going to have a look now at the video. Now, I don't know if it's on YouTube, the interview, this what would you call it? It's like a documentary that's been done on, let me just share it. I don't know how they are about whether I'll get copyright struck. I don't know. Sometimes news channels normally don't strike you, but you know, there's always a first time. We're going to have a look at this video that was put on last night.
Are rallying around her family to share messages of love and hope.
We have been praying from the start of this. It was just heart-wrenching just hearing about this.
Nothing really like this ever happens around here, so we're all praying.
A community united with one plea: bring her home.
Everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight. Special program.
Investigators say 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, was taken. Case continues to shake our.
There are no arrests, no motive, and no sign of Nancy.
Its sources close to the case tell us investigators aren't any closer to solving it. Nancy's daughter, Savannah, again on behalf of the family, reiterating an urgent plea for your help.
Please come forward, tell what you know, and help us bring our beloved mom home. Please be the light in the dark.
Diversión, los pollitos jugarán, Ruby, Rosy, a nadar, los gatitos diversión con las casitas de los perritos y de los hamsters. Cherry Pets Houses.
Buscado en Fotocasa.
¿Buscado en Fotocasa?
Encuentra el sello de calidad Fotocasa y busca con transparencia, tranquilidad y confianza.
¿Has buscado en Fotocasa?
And a light in the dark is just what this case needs. Let's start by taking you back to the beginning. Nancy was last seen the night of January 31st at her home near Skyline in Campbell. She was dropped off there by her son-in-law at 9:48 p.m. after having dinner with family. By midday Sunday, Nancy didn't show up to watch church service at a friend's home. Her friend called Nancy's oldest daughter, who called 911. Most complex investigations our country has seen in years.
The Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos has given many interviews on the case members about that day when she went missing, shares what's happened since, and has a message for the person or people who took her.
It started with a call.
Take me back to the night of Sunday, January 31st. When did you get the call that Nancy was missing?
My team had notified me of a missing person. Search and rescue was searching the area.
And we begin tonight with breaking news. The Pima County Sheriff's Department is looking.
Scene.
And Skyline is where we are.
Investigators confirmed the missing woman was Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, a name recognized across the country and deeply rooted in the Tucson community.
I don't even know that I knew it was the Guthrie family until probably closer to 6, 7 o'clock that evening.
Miss Guthrie is the mother of Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie.
Within hours, the investigation was expanding with the eyes of the nation watching.
FBI was plugged in that Sunday. Monday morning, we got a quick briefing. They had processed the scene, and we knew we needed some help.
After the public appeal,
We do, in fact, have a crime scene. That we do, in fact, have a crime.
Area right outside of Nancy Guthrie's house.
came press conferences, drawing hundreds of reporters.
We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media.
A tip hotline was created.
I thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
Billboards went up in several states, but the decision to clear the crime scene followed by renewed searches in the weeks after has drawn criticism.
A major focus on the house again
Stands by the work of his leaders.
Back at this past month in the investigation, did it go the way you wanted it to go?
Yes.
Respirar parece fácil, ¿no? Simplemente.
Yes, absolutely. Here's the thing. I think somebody said, well, Sheriff, did you regret this? Look, I have no regrets about my team and their efforts. I don't regret we let the crime scene go too soon or any of that. That's just silly.
New FBI recovery.
Then 10 days later, the biggest break in the case. Doorbell video released showing a suspect
with what appears to be a gun at Nancy Guthrie's home the night of her disappearance.
Today, it remains one of the key pieces of evidence investigators are still leaning on. But it's not the only evidence detectives are analyzing.
Cell phone data, pings, cameras. I mean, how much are you guys leaning into that information, that evidence?
You know, it could be a cell tower dump, could be analyzing the cell phone.
So there is still digital evidence that you guys are waiting on to receive?
Well, we're analyzing all the time, yes.
The sheriff says investigators have gathered a lot of information. They're just not able to share much of it publicly right now.
If you could talk directly to the person who took Nancy, what is your message?
Give her up. Let her go. Just let her go. Just take her to a clinic, a hospital. Drop her off. Just let her go.
And you've seen these photos before. This is the person that Sheriff Nanos is referring to. The FBI released these stills obtained from Nancy's Ring camera of a masked suspect at her front door. They believe this individual is a man between 5'9" and 5'10". You can see he's wearing gloves and a ski mask, carrying a black Ozark Trail hiker pack, and has what appears to be a gun on his waistband. Take another good look at these shots. If you have any information, reach out immediately to 1-800-CALL-FBI.
For weeks now, you've heard about the evidence, the tips, and the rewards, all focused on finding Nancy. But we don't think you've heard enough about who Nancy Guthrie is. News 4 Tucson's Andrew Capasso sat down with some of the people who worked with Nancy and want you to know the impact she's had in our community.
A big part of Nancy Guthrie's life in Southern Arizona is anchored right here at the University of Arizona. From literally helping save thousands of lives over the decades to helping students in the communication industry.
I always think about Nancy as this quiet leader who was so effective without ever working at it.
Inseparables. ¡Qué diversión! Nos ponerán rubirosidad. Los gatitos brillantes. Cherry, monos de dos en dos. Cherry Pets, Sweet Twins. Y ahora más diversión con las casitas de los perritos y de los hámsters. Cherry Pets Houses.
¡Qué pisazo! 900 contactos.
¿Has buscado en Fotocasa?
Y 3.000 favoritos.
¿Has buscado en
That's just the way she is.
Former professor Jacqueline Sharkey worked with Nancy for decades.
She always has had those to help work on together.
One project the two worked on, saving the Poison Information Center at the U of A, the place on the chopping block due to budget cuts. Sharkey says Guthrie got right to work.
Gathered more than 20,000 signatures that were delivered to the governor, and the Poison Center was saved days. So we're talking about brochures and fact sheets and petitions that a small group of people took all over the state.
The impact of that work continues today.
Thousands of Arizonans have benefited from the Poison Center in the 30 years since Nancy had a major role in leading it.
That impact is something Dave Coulier says he's also experienced. He worked with Nancy on the School of Journalism's Advisory Council.
She's a huge champion of journalism and the University of Arizona. She was looking out for everybody, all the graduates of the program, and frankly, of the whole.
She touched.
There are a lot of people who wanted to get involved for resume builders or certain ego trips and that sort of thing. But not Nancy. She had a quiet power. I mean, she wasn't the loud, talkative person in the room. She was the thoughtful person who provided input when it was needed.
Now, as a tribute to Guthrie grows, Sharkey.
Nancy means to us, and the enormous impact she had on the community and on our lives.
An impact, she says, everyone from her Catalina Foothills neighborhood to the U of A and beyond.
Sorry, it's whirring a little bit. I'm not sure why it's whirring, it's buffering. Oh, come on. So yeah, well, what you can see from what you've seen.
Can all learn from.
She's a role model for how to live a life filled with meaning.
And one other thing Sharkey told me, for Nancy, she says it has never been about the credit, but always about the people. Sharkey says that selflessness is precisely why Nancy's impact is felt so deeply across Tucson today. Reporting at the University of Arizona, I'm Andrew Capasso, News 4 Tucson.
And after hearing that story, it is easy to understand why Nancy's sudden disappearance sent shockwaves through our community.
3 days after she went missing, Nancy's daughter, Savannah, turned to social media asking everyone to pray. So that's just what Tucson did.
Tu mejor venta.
If prayer. Yeah, if prayers could bring Nancy home, she would be home. I think so many people are praying for her. Sadly, the prayers.
Most merciful God, we pray for our sister Nancy.
We needed a place to come together. And so a vigil popped into my head, and I know both Nancy and Savannah are very faithful. And I just feel like even if people, and if they can come together and share hugs and share stories, then that might make it a little easier.
Sally Shamrell helped organize the vigil. She says she met Nancy through her daughter, Savannah Guthrie, when the two were both young journalists at KVOA 30 years ago.
Welcome all of you who have come from the wider community for this vigil, for this time of prayer for Nancy.
Lupita Murillo is another former colleague who wanted to do something to send a message to the family that they weren't alone, and coming together was the way to do it.
Holding a vigil will make us feel like we're doing something positive. We're rallying around the family. We're asking God to please bring Nancy home.
Earlier in the week,
she is feeling these prayers.
And that's exactly what hundreds did at St. Philip's Church that night. They came from all over, many not knowing what to say, but others speaking out, praying for Nancy's return.
God is everything. I prayed for Nancy last.
4-year-old for decades.
It's nice to show that Tucsonans are going to come out and support someone that the community loves.
And those two words, please, as the weeks have gone by, the faith shared that night and since remains as strong as ever. As Tucson continued their prayers, investigators continued their work to find Nancy. Sources say tips and cell phone pings led to raids conducted in both Rio Rico and Tucson. But they didn't give them the break they were hoping for. The first one, the night of February 10th, a man was detained in Rio Rico and questioned by investigators. Then on February 13th, police detained and questioned 3 people following a law enforcement operation near First Avenue and Orange Grove in the Shadow Hills neighborhood. No arrests were made in either operation. Evidence analysis in the Guthrie case has also proven to be futile so far.
¿Sigues esperando tus muebles de exterior? En Beliani tenemos 500.000 muebles en stock, entregados más rápido de lo que tardas en ponerte crema solar.
Beliani.es.
Gracias, Franlu. Gracias por recomendarme que me suscriba a Movistar Plus. Gracias a ti voy a poder ver Sirat, Los Pecadores.
Yeah, loaded this up with adverts. Well, they know a lot of people will be watching.
On February 11th, the first black glove was found in a field about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. On the 17th, the DNA was entered into a national database, CODIS, but came back with no matches. Then on March 4th, the DNA was traced to a restaurant worker who was not connected to the case. While that didn't bring any answers, detectives are still hoping surveillance video will. They're concentrating on this zone you see right here, bound by Campbell Avenue, Ina Road, La Cholla Boulevard, and River Road. If you live in that area and have video that shows anything out of the ordinary, you can find a link to share it with investigators on our website at kvoa.com/Nancy Guthrie. And as investigators continue to work the case, outside Nancy's home, a shrine in her honor continued to grow. It started with a simple sign: Dear Guthrie family, your neighbors stand with you. And over the next few days, the messages of hope and prayer continue to grow, along with candles and flowers. Among the chaos in front of the home and up and down the neighborhood street, the signs and other items, a constant reminder of the reason for it all.
We're praying to God that she is going to be returned to her family and she is safe and she's well. That is God's wishes, to have her return to her family back to Tucson.
Neighbors enduring the interruption in their daily lives in their once quiet Foothills neighborhood. Many stopping by now to show their support.
I just came to bring some flowers in support of Nancy and the Guthrie family, to show that we're coming together as a community.
But others coming from beyond Tucson to bring their message of hope for Nancy's return.
I live in Arizona, Mesa, and I came down to pay my respects. I'm still praying for Nancy's safe return.
All of those heartfelt messages heard and felt deeply by the Guthrie family. Savannah and her sister Annie, along with her husband Tommaso Cioni, returning to the neighborhood on March 2nd to meet with neighbors, to thank them for their continued love and support throughout the become a street-side shrine representing them, carrying yellow flowers, overcome with emotion as they looked at the hundreds of messages and tributes left behind. Display remains a reminder of the never-ending support of Guthrie. And what investigators and the Guthrie family believe is that your tips are critical to finding Nancy. Tens of thousands of tips have already poured in from across the country, but we're still looking for that one clue that will break this case. The reward for Nancy Guthrie's from her family. But Michael Hoopy, a lawyer from Wisconsin, added $100,000 of his own money. The FBI says they alone have received more than 25,000 tips. And at last report, both are looking for more help to solve this case. And here are those tip lines again.
And at the yeah, it's a lot of tips, isn't it? A lot of tips to go through. And the thing is, you can only go through them one at a time. And I don't know how many in total detectives and FBI agents are on this case. But you can only go through one at a time, I suppose. And, you know, who knows which tip will be the one that ends up solving the case. Who knows? You could go through 1,000 tips that go nowhere. And then the 1,001 tip is the one that leads to the solving of the case.
Part of Nancy's disappearance is her family and her close friends. The heartbreak and desperation they are living through right now. In video they posted to social media. They expected the national media to swarm Tucson once word got out about Nancy's case, but what came with it was a destructive group of profiteers, and the collateral damage has been far-reaching.
And the media taking over their neighborhood.
At members of the media, hundreds of people. I tell you, it keeps growing out here.
Journalists reporting on the daily updates of the case, but soon came a different group of people causing chaos in our town. From pizza deliveries to a crime scene to people showing up for photo shoots outside of Nancy's home. People get last fall. Local.
That's odd, isn't it? Asking to sit at the same table. Oh my God.
Leaders say these scenarios didn't just cross the line. It may have made things worse.
I wish that sort of people that have a following in media platforms acting as if they are investigators. I do think that it is hurting the investigation.
Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva says in at least one case, a name shared during a live stream led to threats.
He was threatened, his family was threatened because they heard by a reliable source.
Then came the false accusations directed at members of the Guthrie family and friends, blatantly accusing some of them of being involved in Nancy's disappearance in the midst of their most intense time of grief.
People that, in my view, have taken sort of a shameless, shot across the bow of decency for this community, for those families.
These kinds of erroneous reports, comments, and posts have damaged reputations and are ruining the lives of innocent people. One of them, local band member and family friend of the Guthries, Dominic Evans, told the New York Times his life has been turned upside down after being linked to the case.
The typical consequence for a journalist that has defamed someone is the news station or newspaper gets sued. If they lose, an insurance company for that journalist is going to have to pay a judgment. You can't successfully sue YouTube itself or Facebook itself because there's federal law that.
So, of course, this all started with Ashley Banfield, wasn't it, when she said that Tommaso, the son-in-law, was a suspect, according to her sources. Then, of course, a lot of those YouTubers out there, it is wrong to, as soon as they hear a name, that's it. The name's all over their channel and they have a lot of followers. They investigate into the person, they show photos of them. But I do think that's wrong, isn't it, really? If the police haven't declared someone as a suspect, it's like suspect in the eyes of public opinion, isn't it?
Protects that platform.
With both platforms and those creating content on them hard to hold accountable, the damage their content may cause can be immediate and lasting.
Horrifically damaging to people that are falsely accused, for example. Why? Well, in the modern age, you now have a scarlet digital letter, right? There may be vigilante justice, people giving out your home address, your phone number, your loss of privacy.
¿Sigues esperando tus muebles de exterior?
Bienvenido a un mundo de gemelos y amor inseparables. ¡Qué diversión! Los pollitos jugarán. Ruby, Rosy a nadar. Los personas brillantes. Pets, tan monos de dos en dos. Cherry Pets, soy Twins. Y ahora más diversión con las casitas de los perritos y de los hamsters. Cherry Pets Houses.
And unfortunately, these reckless reports continue to this day. They have devastated the Guthrie family and their friends, adding to their pain.
Even in the midst of all of this, there have been moments of light, though. One of them, a call to our newsroom from a woman compelled to help. News for Tucson.
It all started with one yellow ribbon, and then dozens more, handmade and sent to Tucson, the woman who made them, calling them ribbons of hope. And they're already being worn by employees here at El Charro, where Nancy Guthrie had lunch with her daughters just 5 months ago.
Yellow ribbons, a symbol of hope.
I was saying we just hope that it brings awareness to the public, to just as media slows down, to remember to keep your a watchful eye and ear out, and just to remember that she's
started making ribbons in 2003 when Lacey Peterson, a California mom, went missing. They made more when Natalie Holloway disappeared, and for others until it became too much for two people.
I've been praying through every ribbon I make for answers.
Held by near at the station. Tucson touched Ray Flores, the president of Flores Concepts, and C. Charo. We gave his restaurant family the first shipment. This is the first time Flores has spoken publicly since Nancy's disappearance.
When we realized it wasn't just a simple lost person issue, the severity of it really kind of hit home because she had just been here a couple months before with Savannah filming an episode for the Today Show.
While he didn't know Nancy personally, Flores says he saw the closeness between her and her girls in his restaurant the day of the shoot.
You could tell they were a very loving family, and whenever you have that kind of pain hit, it does. It affects you because you can feel it in your own community, in your own heart.
For his employees, Ray says wearing Melanie's ribbons offer hope and remind us that Nancy is still out there, along with others that are missing. He believes as a community, we can all help by remaining vigilant. And he wants to emphasize that for both English and Spanish speakers. Omar works at El Charro and was there when the Guthries visited in October. He and other El Charro workers support the ribbon campaign.
We're still supporting them. We're still thinking about them every single day. We have a lot of people coming through here, so the more awareness we can create, the better.
And that awareness is already starting to spread among El Charro's customers.
It's a great program to have that, to stay united, to
small ribbon.
A message of hope, then that's the only and best tool for all of us to be part of.
Employees at all the C. Charro restaurants will soon be wearing these yellow ribbons of hope. As more on the way, Melanie has already made a second batch and they will be distributed throughout our community. Reporting from El Charro downtown, Robbie Reynolds, News 4 Tucson.
And from yellow ribbons of hope to the bonding between neighbors.
More than 6 weeks after Nancy disappeared, her Catalina Foothills neighbors say they've been leaning on each other for support. News 4 Tucson's Andrew Capasso joins us from there now with that story.
The most striking difference here outside Nancy Guthrie's home is the silence. Just weeks ago, the street would be lined with headlights and taillights. But now, while most of those news cameras are gone, the people who live in this neighborhood say it is forever changed. For 6 years, Jeff Lamy has called this Catalina Foothills neighborhood home.
Now, sorry, I just want to say, yeah, so most of the media have gone now, even the streamers, and the neighbourhood has got their neighbourhood back, if you like. The neighbours have got their neighbourhood back, but it must feel really eerie. Personally, I think if I lived there, I would have felt safer with all the people all around and the sheriff's thing outside that was outside Nancy's home for so long. Because it is a very quiet area, isn't it? Very dark area. And this is the problem, these safe communities. I mean, they say it's a safe community, but all the door cam we've seen, there seems to be strange guys wandering around there all the time, robbing and breaking into yards. And, you know, we've seen so many different videos, not just the video from Nancy's house, is it? Lots of videos have come out and lots of stories of people hearing noises or seeing people. And doesn't feel like a safe neighborhood to me, to be honest, because it's so dark as well. Because don't forget, they've got the light pollution rules there. You're not allowed to have lights on, outside lights. You know, so it doesn't feel like a safe area to me. The problem with safe areas, or what people always come on, don't they, and say, oh, I can't believe that's happened here. This is such a safe area. We all leave our doors open here, you know. Thing is, safe areas are safe until they're not, aren't they? And sometimes it's safe areas. Thing is, thieves, especially, I mean, what happened to Nancy, we don't know if it's a robbery or if it was something else. But, you know, people who are robbing, you know, for money, like for items, etc., they go to nice neighborhoods. You know, you're not, if you live in the Bronx or, I don't know, if you live in some sort of a very deprived neighborhood where nobody's got anything, you're not you're not likely to go around and rob your neighbours, are you? Because you're not going to get much, put it that way. You might get something. You're going to get, but what people tend to do, robbers tend to do, is go to the nice areas where the richer people live, with the more well-off people that have got more, maybe more jewellery, more items lying around. You know, it makes sense that they're going to go to a nice neighbourhood, to a big house, rather, you know, that looks like it's got something in it. And of course, remote and maybe easy to get into it for that reason. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Yeah. Oh, so just something I did want to mention. You know, people are now talking about the security door on Nancy's house, that would be hard to get in. So maybe they didn't go in through that door or come out. Well, they must have come out through that door because of the blood in the porch. So we know that Nancy came out that way, or one way or another, because of the blood. But did it, you know, maybe the thieves went in through the back door. They talk of patio doors in Nancy's bedroom. You know, we don't know. We don't know how they got in. We just know that Nancy must at one point have been in that porchway, mustn't she? Because of the blood drops there. So, and we don't know where that blood came from. A lot of people saying it looked like aspirated blood. You know, did she cough it, or was it from a nosebleed, or what? We just don't know. We don't know where the blood came from, do we? You know, how it got there. All we know is it stopped at the end of the drive, so it looks like maybe she was putting a vehicle there. Well, we think it stopped at the end of the drive. Would it have shown in the on the pathway? I think. I don't know. And of course, the whole scene was compromised because it was opened up too early, wasn't it? Just a couple of days, and then the sheriff, you know, the crime scene tape was taken down. That was just another cock up by Sheriff Nanus, wasn't it? So yeah, no neighbourhood is safe, is it? You know, it just isn't. You know, it's sad and it's unfortunate, and probably the neighbourhoods that are under the most danger are neighbourhoods with nice big houses where thieves are going to think, well, there'll be something in there, you know, there'll be some jewellery there, or there'll be, you know, they'll come, you know, they're not going to rob deprived neighbourhoods, are they? Because there won't be much in them.
But he says what happened at this house, not far from his, has shaken everyone here.
It's disconcerting that this occurred, obviously, and we're concerned about the family and supporting that family.
And thinking more about how to keep safe, both at their own homes.
Maybe people are more apt to lock their door or ensure that community. There's been talk of reinvigorating a neighborhood watch.
But beyond those measures, many people who live in this neighborhood have been doing important work to help find Nancy. What you may not know is a network of neighbors here have played an integral role throughout this investigation, working behind the scenes to gather camera footage from each other's homes, cross-referencing that footage and getting it to law enforcement. It's part of a neighborhood action group which formed early on in Nancy's disappearance. One member of the group tells us that's our recipe. So far, we haven't found Nancy, but we can help law enforcement by being targeted. We let them decide what is actionable. The group continuing their work, they call it the recipe for being helpful.
The best thing you can do for safety is create awareness, create connection with neighbors.
One neighbor who asked us to protect her identity says what happened to Nancy is bringing neighbors closer.
There's a sense of what now out here. We need to rely on each other, and I've seen a lot of that in these past few weeks. More checking up on people and more making sure everyone's okay.
She says it's helping.
Yeah, because in a lot of, even though they're neighbours, you know, I don't know how you are with your neighbours, but I hardly ever see my neighbours, and we live like really close to each other. It's like you'd call it, you know, they're townhouses and they're all joined together. You know, it's not like that where they're all individual plots. And I can go days without really seeing them. I can hear them when they go out to work or come in or whatever. I hear them, but I rarely see them, you know. to actually speak to, you know, maybe just say hello to, but that's it. So, and that's, you know, I think I live in a neighbourhood where we are all on top of each other. But, you know, if you're in a neighbourhood like that, you could go months and not even see your neighbours. You probably don't even know who your neighbours are. You know, that's that's the reason why people buy those kind of properties. They want to be isolated in a way, you know, they want to be private. That's why they buy these places, you know. And so the thing is, yeah, this neighborhood watch that has come together, it's important, isn't it? Especially if you live on your own, it's important that you don't want to be living in each other's pockets. That's the other thing. That's something that I do remember from when I first moved into this house many years ago. You know, we were all more in each other's pockets and always check, because it's a bit of a long story, but there's only 11 houses, first of all. So we all moved in on the same day. And, you know, that grew up this community. Then as the area grew and more houses were built, it sort of dissipated that. But, you know, it did get to a point where I actively sort of withdrew from that because it was taking over my life. You know, they'd be knocking on your door. I don't mean in a bad way, you know, they'd be knocking, you know, and chatting, but in the end, you just, if you work full time and that, you haven't got time to spend 3 hours in the street chatting. They like to chat in the street, the Spanish. So, and it's nice and it's lovely in one way, but it can get too much because you haven't got the time. I mean, a lot of the time you're working, bringing up a family, doing stuff, you know, you can't spend 2-3 hours in the street chatting, as nice as it might be. You just haven't got the time to do that. But so well, I've lost the thread now. But so yeah, eventually I had to sort of step back from it because it was getting too much. So now I'd say most places that I've lived, you know, and I've lived in a lot of different places, sometimes you don't even know who your neighbours are. You might see them sometimes and you just wave and say hello. I found that in the UK, you only see them in the summer, don't you really? Because of course in the winter everyone's in their houses because it's cold and they're in their houses. You know, they go to work, they come home and don't go out again because it's dark and cold and wet and miserable. Whereas I find here in Spain, it's like you get this brief period in the spring and in autumn where people might hang around a bit more in the street. But in the summer here, it's just too hot to stand in the street. It's the opposite. It's so hot. The sun is so punishing. You can't just stand in the street. So, and then in the winter, it's cold, wet. It has been this winter, that's for sure. It's been a miserable winter here in Spain. But so yeah, quite often you do not know your neighbours, do you? You don't know their personal circumstances. You don't know if maybe they live alone or, you know, that's quite often people, you know, something can happen to someone, they don't get found for ages. If they haven't got family checking on them, you know, if Nancy hadn't got her family checking on her, and then of course Nancy was supposed to go to her friends, wasn't she, to watch that church service. And that's the friend that phoned the family and said, oh, your mum's not turned up for the church service. So, but imagine if Nancy lived on her own, didn't really know anybody, you know, nobody would have known, would they, what happened to it? So it is important to have at least some contact with your neighbours so that they do notice if something is untoward, I suppose, especially if you haven't got family.
The neighborhood heal.
Before this, we didn't know each other. Now we know a little more about each other, and we know we're in this together.
Something Lamy says is critical.
Absolutely. You know, it's the silver lining to a very dark cloud.
While hoping for the answer to questions so many are desperate for. What happened and why?
Because this was a shocking event.
And there is still a lot of healing to be done here. And neighbors say they're still fearful, and they will continue to be until they get answers in this case. Reporting in the Catalina foothills, I'm Andrew Capasso, News 4 Tucson.
Thank you, Andrew, for our team.
The thing is, nobody knows what happened. So although, Sheriff Nanos has said, oh, we think we know a motive, didn't he? But he didn't tell us what the motive was. But if you live there in that area, so you don't know, even if Nancy was targeted, why was she targeted? Was she targeted for a burglary? Was she specifically targeted to take away a kidnap? Was it always intended to be a kidnap? To me, the most confusing thing, there's so many confusing things, but the why, isn't it? Why was she taken away? Because as I say, this was a burglary. Burglars, they don't tend to go in when people are in there, first of all. Now, they may have thought, oh, well, Nancy's an 84-year-old woman. She won't present any problem. Maybe she presented more of a problem than they thought, because she might have been 84, but, she might be quite feisty, and she might not have just sort of, keeled over and said, oh, yeah, come in and take what you want. Maybe she put up a fight, because people do, no matter what age they are, no matter, I think if someone came into my house, I wouldn't let them take me somewhere, put it that way. But, for me, if they're going to shoot me, just shoot me now in my own house and, create the bad crime scene for yourself. There's no way they're taking me off in a car somewhere, and I don't even know where they're taking me or what they're taking me for. I would definitely put up a fight, but, well, I say I would. I mean, you don't know till you're in that circumstance, do you? I suppose you don't know what you would do. Maybe you would just freeze. But yeah, why would they take her? This is the whole thing. If they broke into Nancy's house expecting to rob it, but knowing that Nancy was there, unless they thought for some reason she was staying at her relative's house, because she'd gone to Annie and Tomatoes, maybe they thought that's what she would be staying there. I don't know, but wouldn't they check that? I mean, it's not difficult to check, is it? But so they went in there. She woke up. The robbery all went wrong. Everybody who's been on talking about this, ex-FBI agents, ex-detectives, experts in this, that, and the other. We've had experts, every kind of expert you can imagine on different podcasts talking about this case, and they all say burglars do not. Sometimes burglaries go wrong, and people, things happen to people that weren't intended. Burglars don't normally enter a home expecting to kill somebody, but if it does happen because it goes wrong or whatever, they don't take the person with them. They just leave them there, and they just get out there as quickly as possible. So, I hope we do find out one day, why would they take Nancy with them? If she died, due to a bad heart, or if they hurt her, why take her with? That is a massive upgrade in the crime you're committing. Burglary is one thing. Kidnapping and possible red rum is a whole nother thing, isn't it? Why would they do that? And if they did do it, where is she now? Where is she? I still feel she's round about there somewhere. I just feel it. I don't feel she's been taken very far. So she's either in someone's house, in the maybe not the immediate neighbourhood, but not that far away, or she's been dumped somewhere not that far away. That's just my feelings on it. Well, let me know what you think. Why do you think they took her, and where do you think they've taken her to, and what was the purpose of it?
Here at News 4 Tucson, the story hits home. As we've told you, Savannah Guthrie is part of the News 4 Tucson family, having worked here as a news anchor on her way up to becoming the host of the Today Show.
Reporting on the disappearance of her mom has not been easy. Like the rest of the community, we wanted to find a way to show the Guthrie family our love and support, and to provide a place for you to send a message of your own. We never expected the impact our tribute would have.
Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. and we need your help.
Bring her home. Part of a message Savannah Guthrie posted on social media. It was a direct plea to those who were involved in her disappearance to let her go. But it was also a call for others to keep praying for Nancy's return. Those 3 words becoming the theme of the banner. We weren't quite sure how the community would react, but soon they started to come. Some to sign the banner, leaving messages of hope and support. Others leaving flowers and candles, each expressing their concern and love in their own way.
Our hearts are in it, and she's always on her mind. So the candles right here, the heart we made, all the names on the candles, to me, it's showing hope, it's showing love, and it's showing humanity.
And all coming by for the same reason.
Just to show my presence and support so the family knows that they're not alone and there are people that do care.
And for many, without even having met the Guthries, they still feel connected.
It doesn't cost to care for people, and I care for the Guthries. They're from here. Savannah grew up here. They're ours.
And now, as the days have turned into weeks since the search began, keeping hope alive is more important than ever.
Hopefully, by doing this, it's still showing people out there that we care. It's showing people out there that...
I just want to mention about the dogs while it's in my mind. So you saw the dog there on the thing, and a lot of people, and including me, it's like, oh, why aren't they using the dogs? No. Well, apparently the terrain is quite difficult for dogs because of the cactuses and things like that. So it's quite difficult for them to maneuver because it's difficult for people, but especially for dogs, because dogs are, they're going to get caught in the brush, or the cactuses are pretty lethal and things. So it's quite a difficult terrain to put dogs in, apparently. Now, whether they've used dogs at the sites that they've been looking at, the construction sites, have they searched the landfills and things with cadaver dogs? We don't know. We don't really know the extent of what they've done. They're so tight-lipped. I mean, it's good to be tight-lipped in one way. That in part of me thinks the quieter the FBI are about what they're doing, is that the likelier that they have got something in mind. Because the thing is, as soon as they identify a suspect, the police's next job is to preserve the integrity of any future prosecution. And that is more important than arresting somebody immediately, isn't it? As soon as they identify a suspect, then they're thinking of the prosecution, the future trial of this suspect. So everything they do after that is to make sure they've got the right evidence, that it will stand up to, that they can seek a prosecution. They've got to go and ask the district attorney, haven't they, or go to a grand jury or whatever. They've got the first thing, they identify their suspect or suspects. Then they've got, right, how can we present this, make sure that this goes to a successful prosecution? And that is more important than arresting that suspect immediately, isn't it? Because once they arrest them, they sort of lose some of the, it can help, but so they'll detain them first. Like those suspects that they've detained, they did not arrest them, did they? No, they haven't cleared them either. So, but they haven't said that they were definitely anything to do with anything. So they're just saying nothing, aren't they? Because their purpose now, presume, if they've got suspect, is to make sure that in any future prosecution, they're seen to have done everything right. They don't want loopholes that the defence can jump on and say, oh, well, you released this name, or you did this, or you shouldn't have done that. They don't want any of that in the trial. So I'm hoping that is why they are so quiet, because they do perhaps have an idea what went on here, and they just don't want anything to go wrong. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm hoping.
Just because the sheriff's not at the house anymore, just because there's not a whole group of people at the house, or You don't see stuff all over town anymore. We're not forgetting Nancy.
En coches.net sabemos que donde unos solo ven coches, otros vemos algo más. Coches.net, tantos coches como quieras.
¿Sigues esperando tus muebles de exterior? En Beliani tenemos 500.000 muebles en stock, entregados más rápido de lo que tardas en ponerte crema solar.
Beliani.es.
And tonight, the Guthrie family has a message for you, Tucson.
We are deeply grateful for the outpouring from neighbors, friends, and the people of Tucson. We are all family now. We continue to believe it is Tucsonans and the greater Southern Arizona community that hold the key to finding resolution in this case. Someone knows something. It's possible a member of this community has information that they do not even realize is significant. We hope people search their memories, especially around the key timelines of January 31st and the early morning hours of February 1st, as well as the late evening of January 11th. We desperately ask this community for renewed attention to our mom's case. Please consult camera footage, journal notes, text messages, observations, or conversations that in retrospect may hold significance. No detail is too small. It may be the key. We miss our mom with every breath, and we cannot be in peace until she is home. We cannot grieve. We can only ache and wonder. Our focus is solely on finding her and bringing her home. We want to celebrate her beautiful and courageous life, but we cannot do that until she is brought to a final place of rest. Thank you for continuing to pray without ceasing. The Guthrie family. Cameron and Christine, Annie and Tommaso, Savannah and Michael.
So that was the statement. I read it out at the beginning of this video, wasn't it? Now notice they are united. Cameron and Christine, Annie and Tommaso, Savannah and Michael. And I think that order that they've put them in, is that the age order of the siblings? You know, they've not put Savannah first because she's the famous one or whatever. So there's a unity there, the whole family and their spouses. And of course, we know that Savannah is, well, I say we know that, we've heard that. And again, it's only speculation. People saying that Savannah is so angry with Ashley Banfield and anybody else who's been trying to cast shade on Tommaso. But of course, you know, who knows? I personally think that what happened in the first couple of days is that Tommaso was a suspect, the prime suspect. I think that Sheriff Nanos probably just, that's why the crime scene was released and he was there saying, oh, nobody's got anything to worry about. He just assumed it was Tommaso. That's what I think. And then, of course, it wasn't Tommaso. You know, they took the car and apparently they've all done polygraphs. All the family have done polygraphs and they were all negative for deception. So, and then of course, but the genie was out of the bottle then, because Ashley Banfield had come out and said her source said Tommaso was a suspect, and that was it. Then everybody was looking at Tommaso, and they've been not only they've been through the hell of losing their family member, they've been through the hell of being accused of having something to do with it. It's it must be awful. But anyway, so they want us to continue to pray without ceasing. I pray for Nancy every day, several times a day. That's the dog there. The dog's been praying, haven't you? And yeah, if prayers could bring Nancy back, I think, you know, it's a shame they don't seem to be being answered. Why aren't the prayers being answered? Where is Nancy?
An emotional plea exclusive for News 4 Tucson. A family grateful for your love and support while desperate to find their mom. A reminder that you can find those links to calling your tips at the numbers at the bottom of your screen.
Like you, we were all hoping, we're holding on hope as a community. We can all work together to help bring Nancy home. From all of us at News 4 Tucson, good night.
So, this is where we are. So that was a special program that was put on the Tucson News. You know, the statement from the family, impassioned statement from the family, heartbreaking. 50 days, 50 days, a long time. Imagine your loved one disappearing and 50 days later you don't know anymore. You know, and it's just, people go missing, don't they? They go missing, but not often in these sort of circumstances, you know, where it's clear that some crime has happened because there was blood there, the blood on the porch. It must drive them mad, thinking, where's that blood come from? You know, don't think of how it is for us. This case has, I think, really impacted on a lot of us because of Nancy's vulnerability, because of her being so elderly, but also because she was doing something more, you know, as normal as you can think of, just sleeping in bed. I mean, you can't get much more normal than that. So all those are the reasons, you know, why, and the mystery of it, and the blood on the porch, and the, you know, and then Sheriff Nanos being so bloody useless, and, you know, and the lack of information, all these reasons. We're so invested in this case, we can't let it go. I can't anyway. You know, it's like, I think about Nancy all the time. I mean, it's mad really, because I didn't know her. But just, you know, and the family and what they're going through, our empathy is with them, isn't it? And then they had all the trolling and then being accused of having something to do with it. And, you know, it's just a case that's gripping all of us, not only in Tucson, not only in America, but all over the world, isn't it? So I just hope it is resolved. And soon, or at least at some point, you know. But how long? Like 50 days have gone past. What, another 50 days, another 50 days? Will the next minute be 300 days, and it'll be a year, then it'll be 2 years? We don't want that, do we? It's like, just hopefully the police know more than, or the FBI at least, know more than they're letting on about. Let's hope that they do. We can only hope that, can't we? What else can we do? And you know, it's the same for the family. What else can they do? Comes a point where you just have to carry on, you know, try and put some sort of, you know, this is Savannah and her family, young children, and I believe Annie and Tommaso have got a young son as well. I don't know for certain. But yeah, these three siblings, you know, I don't know about Cameron's children or whatever, but this is the problem. It comes to a point where life has to go on, even though you're in this suspension, if you like, of not knowing what's happened to your mum, but you've got other things that you've got to do. Life doesn't respect, you know, you still have to pay your bills, you still have to work, you still have to, you know, you've got, especially if you've got children, you have to carry on for them. You have to try and create some sort of normality for them. And the days just keep, you know, the sun keeps going up in the morning and setting at night. And then there's other things going on all over the world, isn't there? And, you know, just so difficult. My heart just goes out for them. I hope they're getting some counselling or getting supporting each other, I expect, you know, getting some comfort from each other. And in the meantime, where is this lady? You know, as I've said before, imagine living 84 years, all the trials and tribulations life throws at you, dealing with it all, bringing up your children, going through illness, going through losing your parents, losing your husband, losing your brother. She lost a brother as well. you're going through all that, all the things that life throws at us, which is hard sometimes, isn't it? To get to 84 when you should at least be able to sort of, all your concerns really should be is spending time with your family, watching the telly and eating nice food. I don't know, when by the time you get older, you sort of, your priorities, you realize what is important in life is just simple things. When you're younger, I think a lot of your life is in pursuit of, I don't know, career, improving your career, or material things, and as you get older, you realize that those things, they literally do not mean anything. I mean, you need enough money to pay your bills, and you need your basic home comforts and food and things, but really it doesn't matter how much money you've got, how many material things you've got. Look at people like Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer, and what happened to them with their son. Look at the Hackmans and that great big house they had with all the things in it. But they're not the things that matter in the end, are they? The things that matter is the relationships you've got. Just, peace is a very underrated, isn't it? A tranquil life, a peaceful life. There's a Chinese curse that I think of a lot, which it is, may you live in interesting times. That's a curse, because sometimes interesting times are not, it's a curse, isn't it? It's like sometimes boring is good, sometimes boring is good, because it's like stability, security. Just like, say, the simple pleasures. You get up in the morning, you have your coffee, give your dogs a cuddle, you see your family, you got food to eat, you've got food on the table, things that you like to do, you've got a hobby you like doing, maybe you like gardening, maybe you like knitting. It doesn't have to be anything dead exciting, and as you get older, you appreciate that, because you can't, you're not bothered about doing things life-threatening or exciting or whatever. You just, every day is a bonus. And that's where Nancy had got to, wasn't it? And she'd spent that lovely evening with her family, playing games and having dinner, and then plucked out of her bed in the middle of the night. It's just terrible, terrible, poor woman. And whatever has happened to Nancy, and there's always an outside chance she might still be alive, isn't there? We can't dispel that completely. But she'll have been through such trauma. It's not fair. It's just not fair. What did she ever do to anyone? And you see people who do bad things to people, and probably deserve what happened to Nancy, and they seem to sort of go on forever, But anyway, poor Nancy. So yeah, we just carry on praying. That's all we really can do. I'm, as I say, always thinking about Nancy, and I don't feel that she's still on this planet. I've got to be honest. And I feel like she's in a way into my head. Nancy was telling me, but sometimes I do get these little flashes, like a well of some kind. But they have checked the septic tanks and things like that, so I don't know what's round about there. But if she is in a well, when would she be found? I don't know. But I honestly feel she's round about there somewhere. But a lot of people, experts now, are saying, will she ever be found? And that is just heartbreaking, isn't it? But anyway, so all we can do is pray, send our good thoughts. I say, if prayers and good thoughts could bring Nancy back, she would have been back by now. It's very sad that these prayers aren't being answered. Let's hope they will be answered. I want you to thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about Nancy. If there's any developments, oh, look at her face there. If there's any developments, I'll be back to tell you about them. I hope you enjoy your morning, your afternoon, or your evening, wherever you are in this crazy world. Hope you're okay. Remember to look after you. You are the most important person, because if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after others. So it's not selfish to look after yourself. Give yourself some time out. Have a good night's sleep. Do something that you enjoy doing. And then you'll be ready to help other people that may be in your life. Maybe you're the strong one in your family. You're the one holding all the shit together. So you've got to make sure you look after yourself, recharge your batteries, etc. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, thank you, and may your God go with you. Oh, and please, I'll put my banner on. Please don't forget to like, to subscribe, leave your DNA on the like button, leave your fingerprint on the subscribe button. Absolutely free ways you can help my channel. Don't forget to press the notification bell so you get notifications of any updates on this case or any other case we're covering. And and thank you again to those of you who go that bit of an extra mile and you become members, or you send Ko-fis, super chats, etc. Send emails suggesting cases, leave nice messages, hype my videos. Some of you do that on a regular basis. Thank you so much. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Thank you. Bye.